Good morning, it's Monday, April 27th, and today we're going to be talking about praise and some of the pitfalls associated with that. And the prompt from the Daily Stoic today is, how long does praise really last anyway? So in order to achieve objective reasoning, the Stoics employed the use of various perspectives to strip something down to its core and really analyze it. And when we do that successfully, the object or the situation under consideration loses its power over us, and we're often presented with an alternative, more appropriate course of action. So the techniques that we've discussed so far include cognitive distancing, in which we look at a situation that's happening to us as though it were happening to someone else, or the use of contemptuous expressions, in which we use the bluntest language possible to describe an object of fear or desire, to strip it down and see what it really is. Now, another technique is to zoom out and to view either discrete moments in the context of our entire life, or even more grounding, to view our lives in the context of human history. And this last exercise is useful to examine what we think about praise, and in particular about the dangers of praise being a motivating factor in our lives. I'm reading a well-researched novel by Steven Pressfield about the life of Alexander the Great called The Virtues of War. And in it, Pressfield describes the godlike reverence that the conquered people had for this young leader as he led his army across all these different lands. Yet, as Marcus Aurelius finds himself the world's most powerful man 500 years later, he writes to himself, "Alexander the Great and his mule driver both died, and the same thing happened to both." So the point of this is that all of our achievements lead us to the same place in the end. No amount of fame or recognition can alter that. So that's the macro perspective. But what about praise in the short term? I mean, doesn't that at least feel good? Well, there's danger there too of being led by the wrong motivation. As Seneca notes, could anything be more stupid than to praise a man for something that is not his? Or more crazy than admiring things in which a single moment can be transferred to another? So then, what should we praise? Seneca continues, "Praise in him what can neither be given or snatched away, what is uniquely a man's. You ask what that is? It is his spirit and the perfection of that spirit." So when we hold out for praise, we're subjecting ourselves to two dangerous drivers in our lives, hope and fear, which are really just two sides of the same coin. Hope and fear pull us into the future, which is unknown and unguaranteed. They pull us away from the present, which is ultimately where we can direct our thoughts and our actions. So I began to make progress in this area over the last few years in my half marathon training. I used to be motivated by external recognition, the desire to set a new personal record, and to hear others tell me what a great job that I had done. And then I became all too familiar with the injuries that happened to occur during this training. And I began to feel a sense of despair, as I was possibly going to have to admit that I came up short of my stated goals and that I wouldn't get that external validation. And I wish I had known this sage Taoist advice at the time, which is, he creates but seeks no recognition. By not seeking recognition, he has nothing to lose. But I figured it out organically, and I started running for myself. I started measuring my progress by assessing one day at a time, by living in the moment, by realizing that nothing was guaranteed. It was freeing in so many ways, and I measured myself on how I handled adversity, how it tested and demonstrated my character and resolve, not on the results that I hope to eventually achieve and to be able to share with others or possibly put out there on social media for validation. In fact, I stopped offering my finish times in general, despite going on to continue to set multiple personal records. And that felt even more rewarding because I know that my relationship with praise is a healthier one now. I now understand this line from Seneca's letter. A man was asked what was the object of all the trouble he took over a piece of craftsmanship when it would never reach more than a very few people. He replied, "A few is enough for me, so is one, so is none." Now, there is a little postscript to this. I wrote all this and intended to come out and do the video, and then as I usually do, I went to go do my workout. And in CrossFit, the movement I struggle the most with is a double under, in which the rope passes under your feet twice. And I've been working on that every day for 2 months and been making a lot of progress, and it showed up in our workout today. And I went out and I started my first 2 rounds and I was flying through it. And in my head crept, I can't wait to finish this and show all my friends in class that I'm making progress in this. And that's gonna feel so rewarding and so good. And then on the last round, I tripped over the rope, it got tangled and tied in a knot, and I felt a sense of, no, I'm not gonna be able to hit that personal record. And then I thought about what I had just written and realized it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. I know that I have made progress, and ultimately that's what matters. And if I was living to put something up on a leaderboard, that's the wrong motivation. So this stuff isn't easy. Stick with it, remind yourself, and it gets better over time. Have a great one.